conscious will guide you to, of course, limit edition. There are that guide through life. Laws that will guide Security Act and you can practice or cannot practice. Cause changes there. It can be changed anytime. How is that self-regulation? The duty of Parliament cannot make changes to the bill or the law that exists. So how will that guarantee the independence? I should be the first one to agree and support that there exists precedents in the medical field, there exists precedents in the legal fraternity, but that is fundamentally different. However, and media freedom, your thoughts and require a license to that. No, those are fundamentally different. But of course, there are two schools of thought. Statutory self-regulation. It goes against the brain. I can't imagine how those two can. Statutory self-regulation. It's either statutory regulation or self-regulation. That's precise. Self-regulation an internal process by the media. I want to add one more. Oxygen that carries freedom of expression of citizens. And that is why if about it legalistically, can actually say that any attempts to legislate then thought about how important let us not temper sacredness of the profession. And I think that here it is a very momentous occasion that for years we have spent many years in media regulation. When he has said that he should not, I'm telling you, of course, as an official of the media team here, and I'm telling you as a professional journalist that those are dangerous waters to temper with. You may have a good president. Societies like these ones are not and should not be predicated on good men and good women, should be predicated on good laws. So leave the media the way it is. Self-regulation. We can cure the imperfections through other means, but I thought that we should reinforce that view and heard that the party position is that clear. I think I will end there and take questions later. Thank you, Director.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chanda. And now we are handing over to the media director of the UPND, Mr. Simuuwe, to also address the nation through you, the press. Over to you.
Thank you very much, MC, and thank you very much, Comrade Amos. Thank you very much. Yeah. So, friends, the president's position is well known, and this is why he has never changed his initial position from the opposition as a leader then, that for as long as he remained president, there would be no media house that would be shut down. We are now getting to the 4th year. When we get to August, clocking 4 years in leadership, obviously we can rely and depend on his words. He has been very consistent. And on the World Press Freedom Day, he also reiterated his position, except he continues to also remind members of the press to report responsibly. I'm sure you heard that for yourselves. And that is an ethical issue that talks about reporting responsibly, on an understanding that we need to separate facts from propaganda, especially those that are in the mainstream media. And that is what the president entails. And the kind of reporting that is not aimed at dividing the country, but the kind of reporting that allows members of the public to be passed on information. I think that is the idea. And I also want to take this opportunity to respond to very specific issues that are emerging from the press. And this is to do with Cybersecurity Act vis-a-vis the freedom of the press. I'm sure you've hosted a number of people with regard to that particular law, where some of you are believing that investigative journalism is under threat. I thought I needed to speak to the spirit of that particular discourse by indicating that evolved democracies have allowed themselves to have certain rules that protect the media itself, that protect the persons to which information is published, as well as society as a whole. I'll give you an example. A number of you have interacted with BBC, this action, media, exactly, media action. You are aware that BBC, CNN, or Al Jazeera, when they come to interview you, the first thing that they will do, for those of us that are not aware, is to consent that the information they are collecting from you will be made public. Are you aware of that? Now, that is what is happening for those highly industrialized media institutions. But there is an exception to that rule when it comes to humanitarian issues. And that is considering human beings, killing human beings. They don't need consent as BBC. They'll go ahead and publish. That is the point of departure. But when they come to interview John, they will inform you immediately and say, we are going to. Now, you may also wish to know that even NGOs that are conducting different surveys, they will tell you that when you go to interview the respondents, the first thing that you do is allow them to consent. Why are they consenting? You need to assure them that this information will not be distorted and to their detriment, will not be published to their detriment, but it will be taken. The reason is simple. You are basically protecting the integrity, the dignity of fellow human beings. That is the initiative around that. Now, so the clause contained in the cybersecurity is premised along the same lines. That law is not binding where a journalist is going to cover people that are being killed. That's a humanitarian issue. It is for that reason that even individual states have no monopoly of killing their own people. I'm sure you've heard of crime against humanity. Those are humanitarian issues I'm talking about. Where you are a whistleblower on things that will harm society, there is an exclusion to that law. So I should safely indicate, friends, that as we have hinted before, because every time we talk about statutory media regulation, other than self-regulation, we have heard conversations dragging in the Cybersecurity Act. We are safe if correct things are being done. That is the narrative.
We are safe if correct things are being done. There is nothing scary about it because the entire SADC has done the same, as we demonstrated in the other presser we had with a TV screen showing what they have done. So, that said, allow me now to deal with the specifics that I thought I needed to deal with in this particular presser. And this has to do with also taking advantage of this presser to respond to certain things that have characterized our political discourse ahead of 2026 elections. I've heard generally some of them called me this morning wanting an interview to react to the union, or is it a reunion for the Tonse and others? So I told them to come here, that it would be important for us to respond in one presser on the issue that relates to what they have formed there. First of all, we are not worried about their reunion because in 2021, it is the same team we bashed. In case you've forgotten, there's nothing new. And even when they're getting into those alliances, in case some of you have forgotten, the comrade here knows that UPND and PF have been in an alliance before. We know them. And we have been in an alliance with many of those people that you are seeing there. We know their capacity and their limit in terms of strategies, such that even when they talk about plan B, there is no plan B. We know the extent to which they can reason. We have been together with them. Some of them in the opposition, your comrade Shontem, I'm sure you know that. They were with us. KBF was with us. We knew their contributions and the limit to which they could contribute. In other words, friends, there is nothing that will come out of that. And we celebrated also the issue of attempting to hand over what they are calling leadership to Ethiopia, which is very good. Okay? At once bitten, twice shy. That's what they say. But now listen to this. For avoidance of doubt, you need to understand how the opposition lost elections for you to think they can win. Number one, you know very well that in 2016, somewhere thereabout, Ethiopia was in State House with about 22,000 or so votes. Then at that time, UPND knew that they just needed one constituency. Then he's gone. That is in 2016. How many years ago? That's a long time. Now, I have never seen a leader in Africa who has lost by 1.8 million coming back. Not anywhere in the world. Because not even Trump lost by such a margin. Do you get that? So, failure to understand how they lost elections will make them lose again. Because they don't know how they lost elections. And they're using the same approach.
I'll tell you for years that a lot of things went wrong. Number one, in the education sector. The people that brought change are youths, no doubt about it. The youths of this country brought that change. Then the question you ask yourself, if they're the ones that brought change, what were the circumstances? The circumstances were that, number one, youths realized that someone pronounced unemployment freeze. There was no more recruitment for the youths. After adjusting the retirement age. In other words, there was nothing for them.
What are the circumstances today? Youths are aware of numbers. We come into leadership, first recruitment in the teaching fraternity, over 30,000. There is no single country even in Europe with that record. You should be ready to tell us which one. Not even USA. Later on, the whole Southern Africa, there will be no single country that will give you that record. Secondly, health sector. Over 14,000 at a go recruited. And who are the majority there? The youths. What were they doing? They were celebrating and saying, this is what we voted for. The next time you found government planned in the budget to recruit about 4,500. We went beyond to about 7,000 plus in the teaching fraternity alone. Who are the majority there? The youths, who are being blocked during the employment freeze. Why am I going there? I want you to understand how elections can be won and how they can be lost. That for us, the message is going back to the people that brought the change and telling them that, look, our message to you is that there's employment freeze. We shall unlock, opportunities for you to get jobs. Then we have been deliberate. What about those that have never been to school? That's why you heard the president announcing when he was meeting the youths at Mulungushi International Conference Center that 200,000 youths have graduated in vocational training. That is in skills training. 200,000. You have never had that record in 60 years of independence. You have never had that record the whole Southern Africa. Huh? That is why you saw a team of our friends from Namibia had to come and learn using CDF under decentralization, because it's a trap. You heard also President Ruto pronouncing CDF as well. Carpentry, welding, fish farming. And in addition to that, in 3 years, over 2,800 cooperatives in different categories. Some of them, you have seen the Minister of SMEs flagging them off in some industrial zones. Those are Zambian owned. As if that isn't enough, as at last year, over 74,000 market booster loans to marketeers. And this year, as the president has indicated, in terms of empowerment, 397,000 allocated under the CEEC to be accessed by citizens. When we took over leadership in 2021, the CEEC allocation was 41 million. And in 2021, only about 10 million was released. You get the point? Now, you must be very careful. It depends on where you stand. When you say these people will lose, and obviously this takes me to Dr. Neon Simuuwe's statement. Now, with due respect, I'm aware myself that he has never been accurate. Coming from the University of Zambia, he has never been accurate. Even Fred Member and his friends agree. There's a Post newspaper dated Tiny is a liar and coward. There's a Post newspaper. Which was background of this? October, because Simuuwe predicted that. Because the Post then Malupenga said Simuuwe is a liar and coward. Then Simuuwe said, and what was the background of this? Because Simuuwe predicted that died. Because this particular survey, according to them, was done by indicated that at that time PF was going to win. It was not the first time. He said Sata was losing. Sata won. Now, such a person. Now, today, it is a friendship of convenience. They've come back together with a liar to predict that UPND will struggle to get 50% plus. What is the basis? I've told you where we're coming from. For you to get ECL to win, you need to be very clear on how many out of 1.8 million don't still believe in HH. In the first place, it is also common sense that those that voted for HH do not want HH to fail, because they believe they made the right decision. Okay? Now, who is saying he will struggle? Of course, he didn't say he will lose. They are saying he will struggle. First of all, the state of the opposition. Under normal circumstances, if you want to know the way on active political opposition, the day the president, the incumbent, is sworn in, you can tell who is a threat. Today, you hear friends saying HH is packing 2026. Then they are basically blackmailing citizens, because they can't tell citizens who will beat HH. Do you get the point? Then, after deceiving citizens, they hand over power to ECL. They know that the existing judgment is very clear. And they may have all the zeal that the judgment may come out otherwise. We may not know. But the point is clear, that they are basically playing to the gallery by wasting their own time. Assuming this matter is disposed of by the close of this year, then they will go back to the drawing board to look for plan B again. So literally they are stuck. I'm telling you, we know their capacity. How do you guess the worst losing candidate as your best candidate? Now, these are the questions you need to ask. And I want to say this, that you see, the generation of politicians we have now, and this is a notorious fact, are passing. HH is going to have his own second term, 6, nicely, with ease. But that generation is passing. To come and settle UPND will take another generation. Those are gone. Starting from their age, they are already gone. And from 1991, in Zambia, a leader doesn't come back. Once you've lost, you are gone. It's done. Now, let me also be winding up by saying to you, friends, that we have areas we have performed well, few areas we still have challenges in. And it must be made very clear. In the area of agriculture, it is a well-known fact that today, when farmers have harvested, they are paid almost immediately by FRI. When we took over leadership in 2021, we found 158,000 farmers unpaid. They were all cleared. We found retirees in the civil service unpaid. You've seen the record. We found those retirees at Tazara unpaid. They were paid. So what do you think is happening in their mind? We found the mining sector dead. As we speak, it is a different case altogether. I heard someone talking about Copper Belt. I think they were trying to dramatize what Chairman Matambo said concerning him. And I come from the Copper Belt, particularly Chingola, for your record. We were at the same school. Those of you who don't know. He was a prefect. I was a prefect as well at Chingola. Let me tell you something. On the Copper Belt, if you mess up the mine, you are gone. There are no two ways about it. You restore the mine, those who closed it think they can go and win. They are cheating themselves. They don't understand Copper Belt. They do not understand Copper Belt. As we talk today, when 87 million was released by Mopani towards the Mopani mine in Kitwe for the local authorities, they cleared all the retirees who were retired under the PF. Okay? And what do you think they are because they were not paid for many years. What do you think is in their mind concerning HH and his leadership? Those that are getting back jobs, you see the way Copper Belt is structured. You can finish the whole Copper Belt in 1 day driving. Okay? When a mine is opened in Mfurira, people can be living in Ndola but working in Mfurira. They can be living in Chingola working in Mfurira. They can be living in Kitwe working in Mfurira. Mopani sits in Mfurira and Kitwe. KCM sits in Chingola and Chirirabombo. So, the whole Copper Belt is engulfed. There is also Shaft 28. Now, for those of you that don't understand what it means when you there is underground mining and open pit mining on the Copper Belt. Anyway, I've been the hotel has been one because whoever has been growing up on the Copper Belt do not know these small things from the mines. Vam Pepeka, you go to Venemukonkela, you give them, they put on a scale, they give you something. That is our lifestyle there. So I want to tell you that Copper Belt is solid. And the secret there is simply mining. Now, if they are saying they are going to win, they must tell us which area they are going to win. Luapula is gone. I don't know, friends, whether you are seeing what I'm talking about. If we hold by-elections in Luapula, and you know the people of Luapula are friends, when they make a decision, it's difficult. They don't backtrack easily. See how many MPs we are garnering in every by-election there. And you think those people are joking? They are not. But then what is the basis for voting there? There is SAF. a credit facility in agriculture. There is also, there are some who have been empowered in fish farming. You know that there was extinction of fish in Wapula most of the time. That particular activity was promised during the campaign of trying to farming. And also the idea that the harvest they had, since they had rainfall, they were paid almost immediately by FRA. Those are the things they want to hear. Under CDF, those contracts, the roads that are being done, those are the things that they are enjoying. And they are aware that even the construction of the airport there, which is taking shape in Imansa, is a milestone. Including Kasama Airport. You've seen the way it is today when you land there. Previously, when you land, you would land in Mulukumu. That's what would happen. Not anymore. It's so smart and clean. Chinsali will be having the first ever in mining. Meaning the country has changed. As we speak today, friends, we have more than 14 airlines landing at Lusaka International Airport. What has the president done to do that? To engage his counterparts. When he was relaxing visa conditions, some people were attacking him. They did not know his strategy. The strategy was to allow an influx of tourists to come in the country, in turn give business to those in the hospitality industry. That's why now you find hotels fully packed. It simply means our sisters and brothers who are in the hospitality industries are also getting the market. That's what it means. And this is what you are seeing. All the lodges are now active. When you take domestic flights, you would think it's an international route. And now the neon billboard is full. In case you are doubting, the moment UPND won, Turkish Airlines opened a direct flight to Turkey. And the president went to meet his counterpart in Angola. He told him, when he came back, he said, we will reopen a direct flight. It is done. He went to President Philippe of Mozambique, did the same, and you remember during that particular banquet, they were even celebrating the reopening of a direct flight. It's done. Today you can fly to Entebbe, Uganda directly. What are they looking for? We have opened up issues of visa. People don't like it. Moved there to allow for Zambia to be one of the tourist destinations, one of the best investment destinations. And this is what we are getting. Now, lastly, you are aware, friends, that our friends only talk about food, but we have a solution to it. Part of the solution to the issue of food is safe to get as many citizens as possible commodity which creates our staple food. Because we all know that other developed countries or developing countries now have done that before. For example, China itself. In what they call the big contract of 1948-49, they allowed almost every household to cultivate land in order to create food security. And they came up with that as a policy issue nationwide. How did they have people access land? They had to get land from the landlords and subdivided it into households, such that citizens could get this piece of land and produce something until they had surplus even to export. Now, that big contract is referred to as the beginning of China's economic revolution. And they've developed and reshaped it over the years by sector. What has the president done? Relaxing policies to access the that you don't need to own land as it were, on title. It can be a rented land, it can be customary land, it can be on title. Then you have access to the credit facility. Then when we have surplus, you've seen many people have cultivated. We can have enough. Meaning the people that will buy, in terms of the number, will reduce. Thereby creating availability of the commodity on the market. Then the prices will eventually start going down. That's what he's trying to do. Our colleagues don't understand those things. They are in darkness in the first place. I want to wind up by saying that you cannot get a solution from the same people that destroyed the economy. It's impossible. They destroyed Zesco, leaving it with about 1.6 billion US dollars in Congole. Then it was brought down under the UPND to about 600. UPND came up with also for domestic debt what is called Domestic Debt Dismantling Strategy 2022 to 2026. That's why government announced last year that now dismantling domestic debt is at over 75%. That's what we've done. The president went and negotiated with Mamba Quarries, which was owed $500 million US. And now when government paid them, Mamba Quarries was now to produce an extra 300 megawatts in addition to the existing 300 megawatts to put together once it's operational 600 megawatts, coming close to the deficit that we have as a country. You can see how people that think reason. Now, we have challenged our colleagues. When they say we are going to win, what is their manifesto? I don't think any of you will tell me what their manifesto is. By sector, there is nothing. What alternative are they giving to free education? Nothing. What alternative are they giving to alternative source of energy which we are embarking on in the area of solar? Nothing. What alternative they are giving to meal allowances? They told you they will scrap them off when they come. They are not sustainable. We have increased them to 7 more universities from 2 universities who lost meal allowances. The present teacher, the relationship between nutrition and education. Further to that, the number of teachers recruited speak for themselves. The number of classroom blocks built across the country are already over 1,000. We are not importing desks, we are making them ourselves. Meaning Zambians are making desks. That is employment that has been created. Be careful when you say we are losing elections. And the idea that it is by policy that these desks and supplies under the Constituency Development Fund must be exploited by the local people. That alone is a game. Moving forward as a country, in the next 10 years, we will be taking this money back to the citizens through CDF. And you can talk about a different Zambia altogether. Each constituency has something to boast about. Where we stand here in Lusaka, are you aware that this Makish Road is... You saw the way it was. So friends will go on site visit there, will run through that road. That's a CDF. It was a... in addition to many other grants that have been given. So we can safely that using various variables, 26 will be landslide. You disagree with us at your own peril. If you want to know where leadership is tilting, look at Parliament and members of Parliament where they want to stand. Then you have the answer. Then you have there. Where we are disagreeing on these amendments, we are tell me how many opposition MPs are talking against it. You have the answer. So, our friends are playing drama. We know that press conference they had was about Lumezi, nothing else. Because they are myopic, they are short-sighted. They believe if they can come up with a relationship of convenience and then make people in Lumezi believe that, oh, since those areas were seen as strongholds for ECL, then they will turn now and vote for ECL. That's what they are trying to do, but who is deceiving who? In the case you didn't know, friends, even the Petaoke by-election, we celebrated as UPND. Why do you think we celebrated? In 2021, comrade, UPND came out number. I want you to know how the opposition have lost it. They came out number 3. In that by-election, UPND got about 1,500 votes against JJ Banda, who got 32,000 votes plus. The second contender got about 10,000. Now, can you believe it that in such a short period, people who voted for PF have changed and they've voted to HH? We got over the by-election. Where did they come from? Now, this is not a general election, because in a general election, the turnover is big. Meaning, in a general election, because from number 3, it was neck to neck. So, when they tell us that we are going to lose, we are looking at them and say, are you sure? Because in Northern Province, we are getting votes there. In any case, ECL lost in Northern Province. HH got 51%, ECL 49%. So, where are they going to win from? In Luapula, people have changed. The opposition are losing almost all. And you know how Luapula and Luapula, Northern, and Muchinga, how strategic they are. Huh? The belt in terms of reasoning is almost the same on political lines. They are very strategic. So I want to end that we are very confident based on these variables because we are taking stock of our performance and how we are getting votes which we never had in the so-called opposition stronghold in a space of 3 years. If you thought that we are going, who could have, in terms of performance in the Eastern Province, yes, the by-election. Yes, it's a by-election. How did SATA know that he was going to win? MMD started losing by-elections to SATA. Then, for PF, how did we know that they were going to lose? To win a by-election. We have had over 70 by-elections. How many have been won by the opposition? Very negligible.
It's now time for questions. You introduce yourself, then you ask questions based delivered or talked about by Mr. Amos Chan. See two there. Okay. Start with you, my brother.
My name is Simuuwe. My question is related to the first topic, which was in relation to the media, or just media freedoms, media regulations. Currently in Zambia, I think even over the last 10 years, the media have so many voices. We now have what we are calling the Media Owners Association, there's the Media Liaison Committee, and then there's the journalists themselves, the ones who do the work on the ground. What do you think should be the ideal situation for the media in Zambia, especially in regards to togetherness? We've seen sister organizations like ZIPRIC, the Public Relations Association, they're speaking with one voice. We've seen the Zambia Institute of Marketing speaking with one voice. These are sister organizations to the media, whereas the media has almost different voices that are hardly representing the same interests. So what do you think should be an ideal situation for the media in Zambia, especially at this point when we're just celebrating media World Press Freedom Day on Friday?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Also, is my name. I represent Asian News in Nigeria, based newspaper. Thanks so very much, Mr. Chanda, to see you after that time when we had in your time. So stuff. But my question goes like this. UPND have just indicated your position today on the form of regulation regulating the media, and you have said you have endorsed that self-regulation. Why has it taken you so long? Is it because that maybe you are seeing how the media being divided? Secondly, I don't know if you'll be able to answer this one, but I will still pose it because you are a party in government. Why preparing a bill when the position of the party is different from what cabinet has proposed? It's proposed.
Which bill is that?
Sorry?
Which bill?
The media bill, Zambia Institute of Journalism.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Why they decide? Are you confirming that there is some mismatch between the party and the cabinet?
The multiplicity of views is a very fertile ground upon which democracy survives. 12 different voices rather than one is actually a good thing. The problem is the media unfortunately gets carried along in narrow political arguments where the world is seen in black and white. Me as a veteran in the media, and I saw Dr. Basil Simuuwe saying, let it best. I think to have multiplicity of views, actually views is healthy rather than I would at this point not endorse a single view on a controversial matter as this. What the media liaison committee is saying is correct, it's okay. The substance is not correct. That they take a position is a correct position. That the media association owners are saying that they have taken a different position is a correct position. in a democracy, the moment you arrive at one position very quickly, you must worry that that democracy is. An effective media regulation is a product of different views, diverse opinion. Once these arguments are refined, we are going to eventually come up with an ideal situation. But to try and police and dictate one position, what I gave you is fortunately my position and that of the party. Fortunately, a progressive position. I genuinely believe as a journalist that self-regulation is the best. How has it taken long for it? It is in the manifesto. It hasn't taken long. The Zambia Institute of Journalists bill is very young. It's a product of a few months ago. The position of the UPND is a manifesto position, I think, from Anderson Mazoka's time, media self-regulation. So I'm answering the second question on why prepare a bill. You must understand the legislative processes that even a private citizen can initiate a bill and take what is called a layman's bill to Parliament. Or before it goes to Parliament, it has to go through the Attorney General, because no bill will go to Parliament before the Attorney General. But that does not mean that when the media association, when a certain sector within the media prepares one set of a bill, that it must be binding on government. The party position has been very clear. That's why State House was very prompt in dissociating itself from that. That is not a government position, and I think that there should be some sort of celebration that came from the highest office in the land, and we could probably raise the arguments on statutory media regulation. You don't want to test what politicians can do when they have control over the media. Don't try to test that. You will regret. So for now, self-regulation of the media is a well-stated manifesto position. It didn't take the UPND just now to say it's been there, only that it was not pronounced upon, because the government was never going to take a bill to Parliament. If a bill was to be taken to Parliament on that, the Minister of Information or Minister of Justice was going to produce it. So I think that would be my opinion, and to emphasize that diversity of opinion is extremely important. So the arguments, and I want to urge my fellow practitioners in the media that self-regulation to whether Swedish sponsored this group or not. Every activity must be sponsored. So you must be thanking the Swedish embassy if they indeed sponsored such an activity. And you must thank any other people who sponsored another one. If there should be 10 demonstrations on that day, let it be those demonstrations. But how can we reduce ourselves to say they are sponsored? And also to think that the Swedish government in Stockholm is unaware of what the ambassador is doing here is actually to narrow the debate and lower it that is a position of the Swedish government. I can guess, I haven't seen it, but I can tell you that an ambassador won't wake up in the morning, put on a tie, and go and speak at a public embassy, at a public event somewhere, and the capital doesn't know. I think let's try and elevate the arguments. Forget who sponsored who. You must seek even if I had some money, you know, I'm a miner now, I work in the mining industry. I can sponsor a group that wants self-regulation. Yeah. Don't bring arguments to, oh, these were sponsored by this one. The activities must be sponsored. It costs money to hold a workshop. It costs money to... Those arguments must be dropped. Let's look at the substance. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to buttress what my comrade has brought out, I'm sure many of you read an article which was written by the former chairperson for this initiative, Ernest Chanda, where he was explaining where it is coming from. This is not government bill. By 2019, according to, they had already resumed working on the draft. He knows that time he was around. By 2019, a draft bill was made available. So we are the Media Liaison Committee, we are the ZAMEC. Other people like he mentioned, Swedish, came on board, including this ITP. Yes, training program, under the international training program. They started working together to deal with self-regulation. It's a developing document from 2019 by the media industry themselves through various stakeholders. ZAMEC is there, It is there. Swedish did not want to spearhead the program. They chose to support a local body or which had some texture or complexion of locality. And this is how they arrived at Mr. Zambia to work with them. In 2020, there was a meeting between, perhaps look at this, which they called the Zamek Bill. And in 2024, the same Media Liaison Committee and other stakeholders met the Ministry of Information and Media for a validation. On Thursday, this year, actually, 2025, the same group came with a document to meet the Attorney General, Kabesha Mulilo. Haven't you heard about that? No. Now, so you read the document by him who wrote as the former chairman presiding over this particular undertaking. So it is a document that can date as far back as 2019. The president has been very clear. He has not spoken now. This is a case of misinformation. From the manifesto, the reason we said no media house shall be closed is because UPND in self-regulation. All he did was to reiterate the position. And then you will see the people that generated the document, they're the ones now writing about it. Because maybe their relationship did not go well when they came up with MIJ. Yeah. If they have disagreed, then they are proposing those documents. UPND just came in. At what point did they start getting views from the journalists? Or you've heard of one conversation or meeting. There has been no one meeting. So the president has been very clear. When the president says something, it's policy. Maybe you emphasize. You've worked with the president before.
I want to avoid speaking to the past.
Yes.
I'll tell you this. When I was still in government and I was lobbied by media interest groups to persuade the president towards media statutory regulation, it's one of the fastest meetings I had in the Oval Office because he just said, let the media regulate themselves. Even the 2019 process, President Nungu just said, no, we don't subscribe to state. Let those people find their own ways. And he was talking at the time when Zambia Institute of Public Relations was coming. He said, are they not journalists? What have they decided at statutory regulation? He said, if they've decided, we'll support them. But for media practice, he said, I think let your colleagues regulate themselves. So if there is one point where it's bipartisan agreement, because I'm the leader on the other side, and then there is a president on the other side. If there is one point where there is bipartisan agreement, it's media regulation that it should be self-regulated. I think we need to get without emotions what this is. That, you know, in Bemba we say, I wish I can explain it better.
Yes.
I think when the president pronounces on something as he has done, it is not done lightly. There is a lot of policy thought processes going on and conversations, and get me right, the conversation must go on. And I will be one of those who will actually be joining this conversation. But don't restrict it to one side to say this and this. And also don't force those who are on the right, on the left and all that. Just let this diversity of opinion go on and on. Don't try and cure one problem using another angle. I know what is at stake myself. I know that if we regulate by law, the practice of journalism in this country will probably come down to 25% or less. I know the challenges in the newsroom. Let the voices, let me use an example of, you have allowed too many children to be enrolled in school, and therefore the quality of teaching, would you rather have zero knowledge than half knowledge? For me, even if one teacher is teaching 500, let it be. Even if somebody will be able to learn one pronunciation, that is okay. Now, in dealing with that, let's build more classrooms. So I think the media is in that situation to say the standards are very low, the salaries are poor, the conditions. Let's try and cure the problem using another means, but let those conversations go.
Thank you, friend. Thank you. So, yeah. Unless we have many more questions, I think we have exhausted them. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, friends. So go with the message, eh? Your president says, Self-regulation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll sing the national anthem again and close with the word of prayer. Mubanga leaders, the journalists are very excited because of the presentation by Mr. Chanda and our media director on the position that is well known. Leaders in the national anthem. Let's sing. Leaders.
Let's do the national anthem. Stand and sing of Zambia, proud and free, land of work and joy in unity, victors in the struggle for their rights. We've won freedom's fight. All one, strong and free. Africa is our own motherland, fashioned with us by God's good hand. Let us all our people join as one, brothers under the sun. All one, strong and free. One land and one nation is our cry. Dignity, Zambia's sky, like a noble eagle in its flight. Zambia, praise to thee. All one, strong and free. Praise be to praise be, praise be. Bless our great nation, Zambia, free men we stand under the flag of our land. Zambia, praise to thee. All one, strong and free.
Chaplain Chileshen.
Father, we thank you for the noble profession, the journalism profession that you have elevated to the position of being the